for doing that. It's a fairly new thing. And just, this is a machine here, but that bar tracked very well with all the weight on the press wheels at the back. It never used to crab. It worked very well. We were probably, I would have said we would have got good 85 to 90% job inter-row sewing, which was pretty, we thought it was pretty good on 9-inch spacings in that system. And a few years later, we just bought a bit wider bar from the west. It's just pretty well the same bar. We went back to single shoot. Just make it simple. I'll just state, when we first started direct drill, we were probably putting, when we were double shooting, we were probably putting rates down like probably 180 kilos 3210. And it was some pretty phenomenal rates when we first started off, but now we're back, we're only doing 50 kilos MAP, but that was before, because before direct drilling we were doing a lot of pre-drilling of your rear, so sort of come a long way in that regards. Inter-row sewing solved a lot of problems we were dealing with. Didn't have the stubble clods anymore, didn't have to slash, just sail through the stubble regardless of the density. We had a few issues with soil-borne diseases at that particular time, and getting away from previous years' stubble decreased the disease level. The seed soil contact was excellent. We had a lot better germination and establishment, and one thing that stood out pretty quickly was harvesting of lentils was a lot easier as was acting as a trellis. And this is our system at the moment, inter-row seeding, which I'll talk about a bit more in a minute. And I know it's probably not the most clearest picture, it's just from the header cab, but that's just all the lentils popped up on the stubble nicely, and yeah, it certainly makes it a lot easier harvesting. On our property in 2004-2006, Matt McCullum looked at all the benefits of inter-row seeding, and some of the results he found, wheat on wheat, he was getting a 6 to 9% yield increase, which was mainly due to less soil-borne diseases such as takel and crown rot. It doesn't seem to be as much of an issue these days, but at the time it was. And with canola, it's getting a lot better establishment at sowing, which gave higher yields, which are, yeah, canola's a pretty finicky thing, and that was probably a bit of a given. And the lentil results was very interesting, and a similar trial over in Horsham 2009 basically gave the same results. As you can see with the standing stubble, with the lentil height it was 30 centimetres, which is a lot higher than all the other treatments, and the height to first pod was a lot higher. Like I said, the higher pods give better harvesting, resulting in high yields, less wear and tear on the equipment, and it also trellises the lentils, and they seem to grow a lot quicker growing towards the light as well. And this was just some pictures I took last week of inter-row sowing this year. It's on 15-inch. It's lentil sown into wheat stubble. So beans at the moment. Now the change to a disc seeder. In the past with our tine implement, a lot of the benefits of leaving standing stubble was lost, as we had to roll all our legume paddocks after seeding. It was mainly due to stones. Obviously all the tines in our country tended to pull up stones. And now with the disc we can leave most of our stubbles undisturbed. We still just roll a few areas that are quite bad just to make sure. And on the York Peninsula, snails is a huge issue. Many people are rolling them, and the old saying over there is baiting, bashing and burning them. And this is just a few pictures, I guess, of these destructive beasts. But these red ones is what a lot of guys would probably run over their paddocks on on a hot 38, 40 degree day during summer. Just clean up, it just smashes the stubble to smithereens, but it cleans all your stones up and just gives your snails a fair hiding. And yeah, that's sometimes what kind of issue we can find ourselves in, so they are very bad. A lot of people just running around old punt cables between vehicles, smashing them knocking them on the ground on hot days, just seems to get a good control of them, or running over fire, old harrows, anything just to give them grief. I guess now with our system we're depending entirely on bait. And these are the steel rollers we use at the moment. We still use them a bit, but that's just, as you can see from a tine, just pull up your stones. You can't go reaping lentils on the deck like that. And that's just the next door neighbour I took the other day, sowing his pasture. And yeah, that's a scenario we used to find ourselves in sometimes. And also, this is another disadvantage of tines, as my brother found out. They're great at hooking things, if you'd like to hook the old rear revision mirror in the old water truck. He's not here to defend himself, so. Right, the change to a disc seeder, we felt we'd come to a point. We achieved all we could with the system we had. With pastures and hay paddocks in particular, the ground was compacted. That's probably why we got a great result with the Harrington points. Ripping that hard pan allowed the root system of the new plants to get down easily. But by ripping this hard pan, a lot of fuel and horsepower was used. Yeah, and all we really found was we're just making a hard pan lower down the profile. Yeah, and after a lot of research, 2009, we finally went out and purchased a seeder. We chose to purchase a daybreak seeder, and we strongly felt there was a lot more to be gained than our previous system. And the advantages that we saw with a single disc opener on wide spacings, improved soil health and quality, and that's biologically and structurally, and the long-term benefits of that, and with a good rotation, just let nature bust a hard pan rather than us trying to mechanically do it. And obviously with a lower weed pressure, less disturbance, the seed placement accuracy, but that's entirely, that depends on our management at harvest time. But if you get that right, seed placement is excellent with it. And the ability to sow minimal moisture and gain a good even germination has been great. And yeah, just not exposing the soil to dry it out like we were with our tine. Increased productivity. Our old bar was 40 feet, and we're probably doing 10 hectares now. And now we're on 35 feet, and we're doing probably 15 hectares now, so we've increased our productivity a fair bit. This gives us more timely seeding, less hours on the tractor and a lot less fuel. And we don't need a huge tractor to create this productivity increase. The wide spacings make inter-row seeding a lot easier. I think especially notice that on an area with discs, a lot of guys have got on 9-10 inch, which is pretty standard, and the guys on discs on 9-10 inches, they can move around a bit, and they're basically given up inter-row sowing. But with the wide spacings, the crop canopy stay open longer. There's more opportunity for weed spraying. Doesn't create such dense canopies favourable to diseases. And obviously the main advantage that we saw was the increase in water use efficiency, which at the end of the day is what we're all farming. Our daybreak toolbar, it's got 26-inch single disc opener on 15-inch spacings with a hydraulic down pressure. The large discs have ultra-low disturbance due to the angle. Got 14-inch gauge wheels, the Manutech press wheels, and we can adjust the soil throw by moving the soil blades up and down, so it's a pretty flexible machine. And the machine is very heavy and robust for good penetration. I reckon when the fellas brought it down, I reckon it was about 16 tonne he said it weighed when they weighed it off. And the machine's got